Professor Wu said that I guess it's hard to be the speaker right before lunch, but it is particularly hard to be the speaker after Tim Wu and before lunch. I'm just going to talk briefly, therefore, about something that we're very excited about that we call Hack the Act. And first, I'm going to talk a little bit about the rationale behind and what really drove this day and what made us so interested in this and what it's really sort of been the groundwork for this whole event. And that was obviously SOPA and PIPA, which you've heard a lot about today already. But what was particularly interesting about those events was not just the fact that the internet found its voice, so to say, but also the fact that people I hadn't talked to in a long time who knew that I was in law school were just contacting me completely randomly and asking, you know, why does Wikipedia hate soap? And what is their beef with Pippa Middleton? There was really just it was interesting because there was a lot of interest all of a sudden in intellectual property and copyright in particular. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to find out a way to see, can we create something in addition to stopping something? The thing that a lot of people put up on Twitter was, "We stop SOPA." We wanted to see, can you do more than stop? Can you create something new? And so, therefore, that's why we came up with the idea for Hack the Act. So what is Hack the Act? Hack the Act is an open, week-long competition. Anyone can get involved. Our website is experiencing some unfortunate difficulties, but we've moved the registration to Tumblr, our Tumblr account, and we will be tweeting that out like wild, I assure you. And basically, that is what it is in a nutshell. There are no set rules necessarily. We have a rough rubric, which is also on the Tumblr site and is on our website. But really, what we want to see is interesting, innovative ideas coming out of this. Our hack is, in essence, the opportunity to encourage more people to hack. It's not a product. It's an idea unto itself, I guess. So with that in mind, we really want to serve as the platform for all kinds of people: technologists, lawyers, law students, law professors. I don't want to miss any of the categories Phil missed, I guess. But entrepreneurs, people who do not have those coding skills to get in and mess with the code of law. And so at the heart of it, we've set up some basic templates on Docracy, which you'll see shortly. We have the tools in place with Docracy where you can actually branch out from different ideas. But beyond that, we encourage you to really just play around with this. Remix, mashup. You can just, you can play around with multimedia if you'd like and link to it within a particular submission. At its heart, really, this is up to you. It's a chance to mess around with the substance of IP law. Really, when we were talking about this, to a large degree, we realized sort of that there isn't really an excuse to just complain about a problem. Now is really the time for you to just look at what your base of knowledge and create a solution to the problem as well. So with that in mind, I'm going to hand this over to Docracy so they can show off their tool, and thank you very much. And we look forward to seeing everything that you do.
While they're setting up, I want to let folks know we probably have a surprise guest to give our secular benediction at the end of the day. He's driving back from Vermont. I think he'll be here in time. I don't want to oversell him, but he is actually very inspirational and someone that the folks in this room will find very compelling and important. You guys set?
We're all set. If you can just switch us over. Or
Can we switch them over in the control room?
I'll just do it.
While they're switching over, you know, who's familiar with the Dr. Seuss story, Zach's Bypass? Raise your hand. Not that many of you. Okay, to me this is the perfect analogy to what I think Tim and I were discussing briefly. Zach's Bypass is these two... all right.
It's not quite it.
Not quite it. All right. These two beings, one only goes north and one only goes south. And they hit each other in the middle of the road, and Each one refuses to step aside so the other can pass. So they live, and they say, I'll stay here now, I won't move an inch to the left, an inch to the right, an inch to the east, an inch to the west. I'll stay here and stop time. But time doesn't stop for these guys. Time moves on, and highways get built around them. The whole world moves around them. My concern is, and what I was hoping to get at today and beyond, is to figure out, we as lawyers, how we stop being those roadblocks, how we participate in a world that is moving much more rapidly around us. Are we going to be the folks who say, no, I've got to file a pleading and it's going to take 2 years to get resolution? Am I going to be the person who waits to initiate an antitrust suit, or am I going to be the person who tries to enable? Can we not cease to be these axes and become, construction workers on the highway? That's the, oh, we're there. Okay, that's it.
Okay, great. Thanks for that, for filling in. I'm Matt, this is Veronica, and this is John. We're Docracy, which is basically a collaboration platform for open source legal documents. And hackathons are sort of near and dear to our heart because we started our company at a hackathon last year, hosted by TechCrunch. We wrote the first version of the site overnight. We're one of the winners, and eventually decided to close our other company and do this full time. So we raised money and all started at an overnight hackathon, which at 5 o'clock in the morning I said I would never do again, because it seemed at the time the worst idea, and it turned out to be the best idea. So be ready for those emotions. Okay, so basically we give these, we introduce Docracy to a couple different types of people. People like we were, which are tech people who need documents and had been frustrated with the process, and then lawyers. And the pitch is generally fairly different because lawyers don't like what we're doing generally, they get nervous. And people who are just trying to start companies want they just want to know how it works and all that stuff. This group is something in between that we don't understand. So it will be some form of those two things together, but it'll be very short. Just to give the idea, it came from us running a small startup company and finding that searching for a good legal doc was hard. This is what it looks like if you look for a sublease agreement. A whole bunch of ads. This has actually gotten worse since I took the screenshot. There's even more ads now. And then a bunch of PDFs and doc files, which you have no idea, as a person, as a layperson. And if you're doing a transaction that just doesn't have the room kind of financially for a lawyer, you're kind of on your own. So us being software developers, Veronica's a lawyer who also joined us, we thought the open source model made a lot of sense for this because, in some ways, language is the code for lawyers, and it can be versioned, and it can be tracked, and it can be discussed in the same way. And open source had changed the way we wrote software completely, and we thought, why doesn't it have a place in legal documents and just kind of in legal discourse? So what we created was a place to find documents provided by a community. So, and a way to standardize on these documents. So not in the sense that this is where the first place where lawyers get upset. Standards can't exist. Okay, it's true, everything's a little bit different, but there can be places to start from, and there can be standards for certain communities. For example, an NDA that the New York tech startup community has agreed on, and we can just sign it without really looking at it. Because it comes from our site, you can see what the changes were and just get it over with. Things like that came from a website called GitHub, which some of you will know well, and others of you won't know what the document. So for lawyers, why is this not terrible? Because, and especially for younger lawyers or people about to become lawyers, you are tech savvy. You want things to be more efficient, so that is what we do. But also, standardization can be good for everyone, including the legal profession. And in some ways, what we're just kind of talking about, what we're seeing is in the same trajectory that open source had in software. It wasn't that long ago that people said it was a terrible idea for a group of crazed hippies to write, the operating system that will run the internet, and now that's just taken for granted. So I'm not advocating crazed hippies write these documents, but we do welcome them. And in general, it's just more fun to collaborate. That's what engineers have discovered and kind of always knew, and that's sort of what the genesis of some of Silicon Valley was. And this can be a part of this as well. So let me show you now what you can use Docracy to hack the act this afternoon, but you can also use it just in general. So I'll show you how Docracy works through two brief examples. So the first example is an actual contract. We the lawyers who did our financing graciously agreed to put all the documentation that we got as part of that, as part of paying this money, up on our site. So now anybody else, we get this package of documents, you know, sign this with your employees, make sure this is your NDA and stuff. We put that up on the site. So one of those things was a consulting agreement. One of the people we had found the sites, just this designer, and he had emailed us. He said, that document looks too big. I don't want to send it to my clients. And I was like, just change it. Just put it more towards what you would want to do. So he wrote this, which is a version. You can see on the right here a version of the Gunderson consulting agreement, and he's made significant changes to this. So you can see the changes here in a sort of a red line version of this. And what he's done is he's taken out huge tracts. This is where lawyers are back excited. He's taken out huge sections and replaced them with very simple, almost plain English things. Because in his mind, I'm working with a person I'm going to be working with. I want them to be comfortable with this. I want them to be able to read it. So he's taken out all of this and turned it into company shall own, right, title, and interest for work completed during each billing period until after. So there's a bunch of examples like this. Just huge portions removed and tiny little bits inserted. So is this a good idea? I don't know. But he's using it. So now other people can comment on this, decide to use it themselves, point out a problem, all these kind of things. That's what the platform is for. So today in Hack the Act, we're going to be doing that on a number of different documents. One is SOPA. So Phil has uploaded the original SOPA agreement, and you can, through just by having an account on the site, you can what's called branch this document, make changes just like that designer did to the consulting agreement, and then people can collaborate and take those changes and make new documents out of that. So you can express your differences, and then people can kind of take those differences together into new documents. So here's my change to SOPA. It's very good. It's just down here. So I'm no longer allowing the Attorney General to seize sites. I did that. So you're welcome, first of all. Now, Phil, if you wanted to, can go and merge that and take it back into the original document, and we can make now a new version of the SOPA bill that we can then print as PDF or do whatever we want. People can branch what I have here, make further changes, and merge them back in. So this will be the basic mechanism for how you can hack the Act. We'll also be hosting a contract hacking contest this afternoon. There's a little talk in your schedule about that where we'll introduce. There'll be a bunch of kind of interesting, public domain documents that we're going to try to improve, make them more plain language, make them generic so other people can use them. So please, there's an awesome prize for that as well. So please participate and come talk to us if you're interested in helping out. We love talking to tech-savvy lawyers. So thank you very much.